Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of the Backstory podcast. Today it's just by myself, but I'm hoping that no other episodes will be like this. Even this setup I'm hoping, it'll be completely different next time I do one. But I just thought I would have a sort of introductory podcast where it's just me talking a bit about myself and why I want to do this and what to expect. So, firstly, my name's Ollie. Uh, I'm from the UK, and I currently go to university and I study sustainable festival management. I've had an interest in festivals and event work from a young age, with both my parents working in events. So that's sort of what got me into the sector. But I've also had a view on, interest in media, and I studied TV and film production at college. So that's sort of another reason why, I'm into doing this podcast. I also have a YouTube channel that I vlog family holidays and stuff like that, ski trips, that, it's just for a bit of fun. And that's also what this podcast is going to be about. So each week or each podcast, I want to have a different guest on and really dive deep into their backstory. So I find that, in life, you meet a lot of people, and sometimes you don't really get to talk to them on that deep level all the time with, conversations moving more fast paced and phones and everything. It's hard to, sit down for an hour and just chat to someone and actually really find out more about them. And I would say that, I have a huge range of friends that I don't really know a lot deeper, rather than like the surface level stuff of what they study or like who they are. Whereas I want to, find out what they want to do achieve in life, and why they're interested in the stuff they're interested in and what got them interested in it. And that sort of level of depth, to the podcast, and also find out about, growing up in different areas, doing all this sort of stuff, from like athletics to music to events to everything, to travel advice. I really want this podcast to be about anything and everything. So one week you might find it really interesting, and then the next week it might not be for you. It might be about fashion or something like that, and that's okay. But yeah, I really just want to be a voice for sort of not for sort of everything really. Um, I want to, learn about their interests and more stuff like that. And I think a podcast is a great way to do it. It's simple. Anyone can start one. And yeah, so that's why I've decided to start it. So there's the Instagram you can check out. It's called the Backstreet Pod. The Backstreet Podcast was taken. But go follow that. You can follow my YouTube channel. It's OJ Plays Xbox, which I weirdly don't play Xbox on it, but name stuck for like 8 years now, so it's staying like that way. But yeah, so I'm gonna dive a bit into myself now. I'm 19. As I said, I study sustainable festival management. A few other things I'm interested in. I love playing football. I support Chelsea, so please don't, not listen to the podcast just because I support Chelsea. We will have some guests on talking about football. I also play Xbox and stuff like that. Play games like FIFA, well, EAFC, and like Rainbow Six Siege and stuff. I really enjoy traveling. I've been very lucky to travel to some very cool places across the US and, well, like east side of the US. Dubai. I recently went to Italy for the first time. I'm trying to learn Italian. That's another random thing about me. Not very. Oh my God, I need to learn English first. Not going very well. Um, I enjoy the countryside. I enjoy the outdoors. I'm not a huge fan of clubs, but I also enjoy dancing and a little bit of party. And yeah, I recently got my boat license so I could drive a boat, a small boat, but I can drive a boat. I can drive a car. These are just really random facts about me, but just sort of get to know me, because I really want to focus on my guests in the podcast, but also, there will be a bit of, my point of view on stuff, and it's not just going to be sat there interviewing them constantly. It's gonna be a bit of fun. It's gonna be relaxed. I'm As I've already said, I want a variety of guests. I've got some people that uh, I want to ask, get to know more about them, more about what they want to do next, but also what's happened in their past. Yeah, so this is sort of, the first episode is a bit, ropey. As I've said, it's going to be better than this normally. Um, but just stick around, really, see where it goes. I have a lot of, interesting stories to tell, as well as, advice on university, because I know there is a lot of advice on university, but everyone's university experience is different. I would say, like, even mine is different from some of my closest friends, and we do a lot of stuff together, but it's still different. Um, Uni is a weird place. You're surrounded by everybody, but can also feel so alone. And I think that's a not very wow. It is a known thing, but also not. Like, it's weird because when you're like at home where you grew up, and back with your family, you walk down the street, you see very different ages, people that and stuff like that. Here it's like everyone you bump into is like a friend. You like, which is weird, but it's also cool at the same time. It's like a whole mini universe. It's like your school takes over the town, which I don't think I ever had because I didn't go to a school in the same town as where I grew up. So all my mates were like spread across a big area, and obviously when you're in school you can't drive or anything, so you can't visit each other as easily. And one of my best mates lives like 40 minutes away from me when I'm home. Or now we live like 6 hours apart. And then my other best mate lives in another country. Which I hope both of them will come on the podcast, but obviously the one in the other country might be slightly tougher. Oh, well, he also lives 6 hours away. But yeah, no, I got some. I want, even if this podcast isn't mega successful or anything, I think it's a learning experience for myself, and I think it will help others find more about themselves. Because in a time where there's technology, and yes, I'm sat here talking to you on technology, and you're listening on technology or watching, it's you don't get much time to really sit and reflect, and it's hard to do that because, yeah, I could take an hour to go, but it's boring. So I think sometimes reflecting with a close friend or someone can help. Like, just throw your phones away. Don't be, sat having a chill chat. Oh, someone's just snapped me. You know what I mean? And I mean, I'm the worst at it. I am so addicted to my phone. It's unbelievable, but it's just something that like. I can't stop, and that's why I like that. One of my mates, he's really good at not being on his phone, and I want him to come on the podcast and talk to me about what he does to not just like. I don't think he's actively avoiding his phone. Well, he might be, but this is what I mean. Find out more about how he does it, because like it's not an addiction. Well, it is an addiction. I don't know, but I want to be off my phone more and live in the moment more and understand more and talk more. I think I'm not very good at talking about how I feel and helping others. I wouldn't say I've got like a lack of social skills, but I think growing up with phones and stuff. I mean, like, I had like it wasn't a like it was a phone, but it was used as an iPod, if you know what I mean. When I was, I think, like in year three or something, which like I used to listen to music on, but like that was it, so that was fine. And I didn't really start until I think year seven was, and I think that's when most people got their phone and started really using it. And I mean, I think that I'm on it like 6 hours a day, which is outrageous to think that for 6 hours of my day, I'm sat looking at it. And that is just something I want to change. And I sort of have reduced it a bit by, as I'll go on to speak about, I'm doing the London Marathon for pancreatic cancer in April. So even just that has filled my time with running that I wouldn't normally do, that I probably would be sat looking at a screen. And I'm not like against screens or anything, but I think definitely people could go out more, but like just get off them. I don't know. Because even like the whole, like social media is a weird place. Because I've had it where people have been like, oh yeah, like you look so happy, you're fine. But I've like not been that happy. But it's so easy to fake it on social media. You just like for 2 seconds you just post a photo of you smiling or something like that, and boom, people think you're fine. And that's why I think mental health is a bigger growing issue, but also more well known. One, because it can be shared around social media, and two, because it's a bigger issue. Like it's harder to tell now. I feel because I mean, obviously I don't know back in the day or whatever. You you would see. I feel like you would see people more because like obviously you wouldn't have that connection just like sitting at home giving them a quick text and stuff. You'd actually have to like pop out for a cup of tea or something, and then you can tell. You can't always tell, but it's easier to tell than it being on social media. But yeah, this is just sort of like a starter podcast of me talking about subjects I'm interested in, and mental health is one of them. But I'm also so bad at it, if you know what I mean. Like looking after myself and checking that I'm okay in a way. Um, but because everyone has these tough times, and sometimes even the other day I saw an example of someone hiding that they were having a tough time. I don't know why, but I know I've done it before out of fear of just like people not judging me, but like everyone wants support, but they don't want pity, if you know what I mean. I feel like I don't know if that's an outrageous statement, but everybody wants someone to, give them a hug or look after them, but they don't want, oh, this person's, crying constantly. Oh, that's so sad and unlucky on them, you know? And I think that's why some people hide it. I mean, I'm no expert in this field at all, as I've said. But yeah, I think mental health, especially at uni, is oof, weird thing. Really weird thing. Um, we'll move on from mental health now. I didn't have a plan of what I was going to say. I just wanted to get like a rough idea and get you to know me a bit more. Um, I think it's scary starting a podcast. I think it's scary starting a podcast solo. Like I know I'm hoping to have a guest on each week, but normally have like a co-host, and then if it's not going great with the guest, you and the co-host are always bouncing. Um, but I think it's scary. People are going to judge me on this, but I think I'm just using my voice. Oh, my Alexa's going off. But I mean that's the sort of things I'm hoping to get better production. I've got some stuff ready. I just thought I needed to get this off my chest, this first episode, because I don't want it to be an idea that I never go through with, because podcast and radio, before podcast was a big thing, I always thought I'd love doing a radio show, but I never really did anything on that, never really went, oh, okay, I'm gonna try and start a radio show, because I thought it'd be great fun, and like I mean everyone thinks they've got the world's best music taste, so obviously you could do a radio show and the chatting and stuff. But I think my talking ability in terms of public speaking has improved. I used to be terrified at school. Oh, do not get me in front of a presentation. Now at uni, my favourite thing is a presentation. Now I don't know if that's because I have such a passion against writing essays, but you stand up in front of the whole class and do my presentation. Don't know. Confidence thing, confidence thing. You know, back yourself. Because I mean, the only time I worry about doing a presentation is when I haven't prepared for it. So when I'm prepared for it, it's like easy. Do this every day. I could be a lecturer. No, I couldn't. I could so not be a lecturer. One, because I can barely speak. Two, oof. I mean, that just looks like hard work. I mean, it is hard work. And also, I don't want to write like a 3,000 word essay or whatever, let alone like read 10 of them. And that's only because my class is small. I can imagine most lecturers they read like 150. And that's not even their, like, that's one class maybe. Yeah, I don't think teaching's my domain. I don't think teaching's my domain. But that's the thing, no one ever really knows 100%. And I don't think anyone really, not many people really find out what they're best at until either they're like sitting in an armchair, grey and old, or they just suddenly stumble across it. I think I stumbled across events and I love events. But, I've still got a long way to go. I've still got to get into the industry. I have goals that I want to reach. But I also like to keep maintaining and developing my TV and film skills. I mean, I don't really want to go. I was looking at it for like a cameraman. No, I don't think I want to do that. I wouldn't mind presenting a TV show, but it's not really it's like a thing that if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I'm happy doing my events. Um, whether that be large scale festivals or small festivals or corporate, working with big companies, Another thing would F1. I'm a big fan in F1. Traveling the world doing F1 would be incredible. I mean, traveling the world, I think that's become much more of a popular thing in my generation. Like, I mean, you sit on TikTok. We go back to the screen time, but you see the van life, and it just looks incredible, and I can see why so many people are doing it because you get to experience everything, culture, people, and it's just not sat at a desk. Which, I mean, I know some people would love to sit at a desk for 9 to 5, and they're like living in a van would be their worst nightmare. And I don't know about if I could. I think I could live in a van, but like, be cramped. You know, maybe a big van. There's this guy who who is driving from the UK to Australia at the moment. He's got a truck. He's doing it right. I don't. I think he's one life man. I don't know. One life fan on TikTok. Check him out. If it's that, if it's not that, then I'm fortunate that you will never know. Or just Google UK to Australia guy driving. Might come up. Um, but yeah, that's sort of going to be the first podcast. I've delved into a few areas I'm interested in. Um, you get to know me a tiny bit, but hopefully more to come, and way better setup and way better stuff over the coming months. But yeah, let me know your feedback. And this has been the first episode of the Backstreet podcast with your host Ollie. So I'm trying to do some cool tech stuff, but hopefully you can hear it happening right now. But yeah, that's it. I don't know. I'm now messing around. I'm gonna end it. But thank you all for listening or watching. Um, Much appreciated, and more to come. Thank you. Bye.